All right, let's get right into it. Today, we are diving deep into the absolutely wild, high-stakes race to build a truly self-driving car. But here's the thing. This isn't just one race. It's more like 3 different races, being run on completely different tracks. We're going to look at the core philosophies of the big 3, Waymo, Tesla, and Mobileye, and see how each one is betting their entire future on a radically different answer to a single monster of a question. And that question is this. How in the world do you solve one of the hardest problems in artificial intelligence? Seriously, how do you teach a machine to navigate the pure, unadulterated chaos of our roads and do it even safer than a human ever could? Well, it turns out the answer is anything but simple, and the strategies these companies are using couldn't be more different. So here's the game plan for today. First, we're going to unpack Waymo's whole strategy of what they call redundant realism. Then we'll shift gears and dissect Tesla's visionary, all-or-nothing bet. After that, we'll look at Mobileye and its role as the quiet, pragmatic supplier to almost everybody else. And then, the fun part. We're going to put their designs side by side to really understand what the road ahead might look like. Okay, let's meet the main players, the architects of our driverless future. First up, you've got Waymo, the OG, born out of Google's long-running self-driving project. Then, of course, there's Tesla, the massive disruptor, just going all in on a bold vision. And finally, you have Mobileye, the established industry supplier that's, believe it or not, probably powering some of the tech in the car you already drive.
And what's so fascinating here is that this isn't just a race to build better hardware. Not at all. This is a fundamental battle of ideas, a philosophical war over how a machine should see and understand the world. Each of these companies has a core belief, a core philosophy, and they are testing it live, on our roads, every single day.
So, let's kick things off with Waymo. Their philosophy is all about redundant realism. The best way to think about it is the belt and suspenders approach. You have a backup for your backup. For them, safety is everything, and they believe you get there with layers and layers of overlapping sensors. The heart and soul of their strategy is something called multimodal sensor fusion. Basically, they combine data from different types of sensors. They use cameras for seeing high-res details, like reading a sign. They use LiDAR, which shoots out lasers to measure distance with incredible precision, and they use radar, which is great for seeing through bad weather like rain or fog. The whole point is simple. If one sensor gets confused or fails, the others are right there to pick up the slack. It's a system that's literally designed to have no single point of failure. And this isn't just a theory, they've got the miles to back it up. Their latest system, the Waymo Driver, is the result of nearly 200 million fully autonomous miles. We're talking miles driven in some of the most complex cities on the planet. A dataset that huge? Well, it gives their safety claims some serious weight. So if you look at the actual hardware, it's just built for a 360-degree all-weather view of the world. It is packed with super high-res cameras for detail, advanced LiDARs for distance, and new imaging radars that can see through just about anything. They've even added microphones to hear emergency sirens. And maybe most importantly, the core stuff like braking and steering has its own built-in backups. And this slide right here really shows their progress. The newest system actually reduces the total number of sensors by 42%. That is a huge step forward. By making each sensor smarter and better integrated, Waymo is finally starting to drive down the cost and the complexity, which is absolutely key if they ever want to scale up, all without giving up on that core principle of redundancy.
Okay, so now let's do a complete 180. We're going from Waymo's cautious realism to a totally different philosophy. Tesla's radical go-for-broke bet on pure AI. This is the definition of a high-risk, high-reward strategy that basically just throws the entire industry playbook out the window.
At the core of Tesla's whole approach is what's called an end-to-end neural network. So think of it like this. Instead of engineers writing hundreds of thousands of lines of code with explicit rules for every possible situation, Tesla is trying to train one single giant AI brain. It takes in the raw video from the cameras and directly outputs the driving controls, steering, accelerating, braking. It's less about following a pre-written script and more about learning to drive through watching millions of real-world examples, almost like a human develops intuition. This quote just perfectly nails their entire philosophy. For Tesla, the problem isn't a lack of data from fancy sensors like LiDAR or radar. No, they argue the real challenge is building an AI that's powerful enough to truly understand the world just using vision. The same way you and I do. Now, to power this vision-only AI, you need an absolutely insane amount of computing power.
And as you can see from this timeline, the growth is just exponential. Their next-gen AI5 chip is targeting a 5-fold leap in performance over what's in their cars today. This isn't just a small upgrade. We're talking about a generational shift in the AI's raw ability to process and make sense of the visual world.
And that brings us to our third player, Mobileye. So if Waymo is the cautious, careful operator and Tesla is the radical visionary, then Mobileye is the ultimate pragmatist. They're kind of like the arms dealer of the autonomy world. They provide the essential technology that lets the rest of the auto industry even have a chance to compete.
Mobileye's entire strategy is built on what they call a lean compute model. So while Tesla is chasing maximum bleeding-edge performance at almost any cost, Mobileye is totally focused on efficiency. Their goal is to deliver really powerful AI in a package that's affordable, uses low power, and is super easy for car makers to integrate. It's not about building the most powerful system, it's about building the most practical one for millions and millions of cars.
And they offer this tech like a ladder that automakers can climb. You can start with a pretty basic driver assist system, for highway driving. Then you can upgrade to a hands-off, eyes-on system, and eventually you can get to a fully eyes-off chauffeur system, or even a driverless robotaxi. And here's the key. It's all powered by the same underlying chip platform.
Their whole approach really rests on these 4 pillars. It all starts with their super efficient computer chips. Next, they have this unique crowdsourced mapping system that's built from data collected by millions of cars that are already out there on the road. They also build in redundancy, but in a clever way. They use 2 totally separate sensing systems, one with just cameras and another with radar and lidar. And finally, everything is governed by a mathematical model they created for safe decision-making.
Okay, so we've met the players, now for the really fun part. Let's put their philosophies side by side and see how they stack up. This is where the massive differences in their strategies really come into sharp focus. First up, the big one, the great sensor debate. On one side, you have Waymo with their everything but the kitchen sink approach, lidar, radar, and cameras. On the complete opposite end of the spectrum, you have Tesla betting the entire farm on cameras alone. This is, without a doubt, the most fundamental disagreement in the entire industry.
And then there's the mapping divide. It's just as stark. Waymo relies on these incredibly detailed, pre-built 3D maps of every area it operates in, which gives its cars pinpoint accuracy. Tesla, on the other hand, is trying to create a mapless future, where the AI just understands the world from scratch, which would theoretically let it drive absolutely anywhere without needing a map beforehand.
This table just brings it all together beautifully. You can see the core trade-offs right here. Waymo is all about maximizing safety with extreme redundancy, but that reliance on HD maps limits where they can go. Tesla sacrifices that sensor redundancy for what could be, in theory, infinite scalability. And Mobileye? They carve out that middle ground, offering a clever form of system redundancy with a more scalable mapping solution for all of their partners.
Which, of course, brings us to the ultimate question. On this completely unwritten road ahead, which one of these fundamentally different strategies is actually going to win?
So, let's recap the state of play. Waymo is, without a doubt, the leader today when it comes to providing proven, safe, driverless rides in the cities they operate in. But Tesla's vision-only gamble? Man, if they can actually pull it off, it offers a path to a scale that nobody else can even touch. And you absolutely cannot forget Mobileye, whose partnership model has quietly put its tech inside hundreds of millions of cars already. The thing is, the winner here won't just be decided by who has the best tech. It's going to be a complex mix of cost, regulation, and maybe the most important factor of all, public trust.
And so we're left with this final question. Is our driverless future going to be defined by cautious redundancy, visionary AI, or pragmatic partnership? The race is so far from over, and you better believe the answer is going to shape how every single one of us moves for generations to come.